What I like actually the most in Professor Weber, that he was driving innovation and R&D in Europe, yes, but not just to get projects, but really to unite the R&D with the industry, to work on the R&D that at the end of the day serves the market and helps scaling up the market, yes. And I think Eicke, this was your very big success, yes, because you drove, I think, like more than 170 million of investments in Frankfurt, yes, and you are helping a lot of startups. So I would like to ask you first, why do you think that it's important not to focus just in innovation R&D on innovation, but really connect with the market?
Well, I think we all noticed that in the presentations which we saw today, and of course in many other presentations, there is so many interesting, innovative ideas, but you still see there is still sometimes a missing link to really transfer these wonderful ideas into viable technologies. And I think the key issue is really the ideas have to be connected with a financial viable plan. One has to be able to explain to investors, if you give me $1 million, we are able to generate $10 million out of it, because this will be just the seed of a very successful work. I see that there is one very important obstacle still on the way of the type of presentations which we saw today, and this is really the way to access the money which is in the CO2 certificates, which is really money which is not yet completely clearly available, but which in principle, of course, we all agree is available because we have values for the certificates and we know how it is. So I think maybe even the EU should do something about it to say, in order to stimulate innovative startups in this area, we might have to find a centralized place where we can administrate a couple of billions of euros per year with the CO2 reduction potential, because I think this is really a missing link. I found many of the ideas in these company presentations so interesting, but it was not yet clear to me that this will really lead to a situation where you can earn money. And I think if we would have a clear path to attack, to really be part of the CO2 trading schemes and the CO2 merchant, the exchanges, the increasing prices, because I fully agree that the CO2 prices should go above $100 per kilogram per ton to 200. Then all of these ideas will be very, very highly financially interesting. So I really believe all the startups need to sharpen the presence of how to develop this into a money-making business. This is something in the past, in the startups which I had to do with in the past, when we were talking about manufacturing solar cells, this was quite clear that there is a market, and our big question is only how competitive are we in comparison to imports from China and other places. But here we have even the situation that there is not yet a clear access to this market. And I think there's something maybe we can help, CBC can help to really create the viable business proposition out of these very exciting ideas.
Because this is actually the main question, yes.
Yes.
The technology, you can invent it, yes, but afterwards how to bring this technology.
And to make money with it, and to make money with it, absolutely. And the money is there. The world is looking for interesting investments which are, on the one hand side, quite likely to be realized, but on the other hand side, have a big upscale potential. That is really what investors are looking for, They don't want to be too risky, but they want as well to see the exciting upside. And the more interesting the upside, the more risk you can take in terms of when you invest the money. But the money is there. The world is looking for attractive ways to invest money. This is quite clearly everywhere. And therefore, what we have to do is we have to help those very, very interesting innovative ideas to convert to them into a very attractive business proposition. And one of the founders, which we just listened to, said this very clearly. This is exactly what is needed in order to make it attractive for a broad range of investors. That's really a task where guys with gray hair can help a little bit to make this possible.
Yes, but I think this is a great comment and also like a good input for our discussion with investors. Yes,
yeah.
Because these guys, yes, at the end they are taking the decision. Of course, technology is important, yes, but they are more experienced in the Excel sheets than technology side, yes.
Exactly.
So maybe we can support them with the technology knowledge, yes.
Yeah.
Like a due diligence, even without making the true due diligence, because we have experts who can judge if the technology has a potential. However, for this Excel sheet, I think those startups, they need a lot of money.
Yeah, because there is really the missing link. I think that the startup idea is able to reduce CO2 emissions, to preserve CO2, or to use different approaches, which were wonderful examples, which we all noticed. This was clear, but I don't think it is already clear how to collect the money which comes from the CO2 certificates. You know, I know a good friend of mine in Freiburg, Manfred Forer, who is working with a company called Global Woods in planting trees in Africa and so on. But the biggest problem is really to monetize this, you know, to really find who is paying for all these certificates which have been created every day. And I think this should be something you should pick up. Because
actually, we have partners from India.
Yes,
from
exactly.
outside. Yes.
Exactly.
Because it's quite a new topic, and also it's not like a standardized. Yes,
Yeah.
So this is like a private certification, but yes, there is not like an official certification.
And as a matter of fact, there might be, but this is just a new idea which I just get to as we are talking, there might be a chance to tap into the big money of the Green Climate Fund. You know, the United Nations has created this big climate fund with hundreds of billions of dollars, which at the moment are being distributed to governments, and who knows for what projects they are being used. But why not establish a very clear-cut mechanism in which CO2 certificates are being paid for, and then many of these companies, which we have here, and there are hundreds more, of course, out in the real world, can really tap into and create a very attractive, profitable business out of it.
Okay, I guess our last question, because you help a lot of startups, yes?
Yeah.
To scale up. So what would be your advice to the startups in our targeted countries in the southern Eastern Europe? You know, how they should proceed in order to become successful?
I must say, what we saw today as presentations was already a very good example of how a good presentation should be. It included the idea, it included the team, it included an outlook, what is possible in the development. So the presentations itself are already very good. But I really believe the business model, the prediction that this will really generate revenue, which is an attractive issue then for investors, this is the piece there might be improvements possible, and we should all help to get them done. And actually, this can be as well done with the help of the investor community, because I think it's a circle. We all agree the world has to become circular. We have no choice. If we want to live on this planet in 1,000 years from today, this cannot be done without a circular economy. So actually, there is value in this transformation of economic processes into circular processes. There is real economic value, and we have to start to tap into this value and to make it, therefore, as a starting point into profitable startups.
Yes, and we need to work together, because together
we are stronger.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Professor Weber.
My pleasure.